Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We are back again with our security leadership series, and today we have an amazing person whom I wanted to be on this webinar for a very long time. So, without further ado, let me bring in Mr. Kamal Sharma into this session. Hi, thank you so much for joining me today.
Good morning, Vandana. Thank you very much for having me here. It's absolutely pleasure connecting with you always.
Thank you so much. Yeah, there's a lot to learn from you. We had a brief chat when we met in person in Ahmedabad, but here I would like everyone to know about your journey, that how exactly you started off in your career in cybersecurity or in IT.
Sure. Thank you, Vandana. Like all the old timers, I started my career sometime late 90s and with those traditional systems, TDM, multiplexers, voice and data networks, and so on. Which later turned into the IP networks. I handled network security and so on in my early days. And then part of my roles at one of the large Indian IT company, I did some of the GRC based on the first information security standard, BS77799. And then on, I never realized when the information security turned into cyber security. And yes, for last 7, 8 years, I've been playing role of service delivery head for cybersecurity services and also CISO for a global organization. Uh, yeah, so that has been my journey.
It's an amazing journey, and I'm sure in your this long journey there have been so many ups and downs, there have been so many learnings. So we would love to know from you that what are the things that actually made you who you are today, especially as a security leader. And there have been so many uh, wins, and there were so many hurdles that came your way. So I would love to know about those wins and hurdles at the same time, because we learn from failures, we learn from the wins, we learn from the journey.
Oh, absolutely. And as I said, I have really been into really the tops and bottoms, okay, lows and highs. Really experienced absolutely tops, absolutely bottoms. And so if I recall the early days of my career, I always used to think I am the best. And I also performed like that. I was recognized like that. And it did really wonders. I've been with some of the global companies heading their service deliveries, regional service deliveries, heading the quality for one of the large IT services company in India. Uh, Went to Gulf for about 10 years. I was heading again a global company service delivery for that reason. And then there was a time which came. I returned to back to India, and for a few years, for multiple reasons, I was nowhere. Nobody knew me. Who is that guy who has come back? And I was in the middle of various crises, personal, professional, and so on. And then again, got a break into a better role in 2018. And then on again, it has been on the rise. One thing which I realized in this period is that sometime around in the middle or years, around 2012, 13 or so, I stopped learning. Uh, and suddenly, so I was in a very comfortable job driving service delivery for the Gulf region. Project management and people management was always my strength. But I left the technology piece. And that's where the challenge came when I returned back. And what I realized is after this 2011, the second journey which I started, again, the learning has been the key. So, and it becomes even more important when you talk about cybersecurity. So, I think the key to keep growing, stay relevant, and do great in career is all about learning. Yeah,
Right, I agree. I think if you stop learning, then you cannot grow yourself in the industry. And this, it's an ever-changing industry. There's so much that comes almost every day or every other day.
absolutely. So there is also another important aspect to this learning part. Uh, it's important to listen to your inner voice. I would like to share one instance and which changed a lot about how what happened after 2018 and so. I was talking to my boss, and uh, so because I had lost that period of kind of 12 to 16 in terms of technology learning, cloud was something new for me. I was more of a traditional networks professional, so I could understand that part quite well, but very less on cloud. And uh, I had a team of about 15 people, a lot of them freshers, some experienced ones, and so on. And we were doing a cloud security assessment,
Mhm.
and I was finding it difficult because understanding of cloud was lesser comparatively. So I told my boss that, hey, we need to bring in some cloud security experts. The team what we have, mostly the young guys, many of them freshers. I said, how will these guys understand cloud? And maybe I was wrong. I mentioned that even I'm finding it difficult. And that guy's response was, hey, don't underestimate the young generation. You may not be able to learn, but they will. And that was a trigger, for the learning to start. And then from then on, I went on to do various AWS, Azure learning, certification, CCSP, CISSPs, you name it. And 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 I think that is what has given the next kick for my journey. And that's where. So don't listen to what people say. You need listen to your inner voice, learn, and you can turn around at any time.
Yeah, absolutely. I would echo that don't listen to anyone except your inner voice, that you can do it. And if someone says that you cannot do it twice and show it to them.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. So, I also would like to understand that over the years, even convincing the leadership about security has changed. Now, when we talk about changing technology, at the same time, there is a perspective change which has happened. So, in your journey, how exactly these things happen when you took a leadership role or a CISO role or a VP role or a director role over the years, and when you had to convince the board that yes, we need these security technologies. Now, while we are talking about cloud, while we are talking about all these new technology, but we have to adhere to security things as well. So, how did you convince it? Because I've still seen a lot of people are not convinced with security, and the budget is still here and there for some of those companies, some of those projects, and some it's like growing.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, the struggle continues. I don't think we are still there where we go and tell this is what is required, and you get that budgets and numbers and so on. But what I've seen is, which has worked for me. Uh, so I joined this another global company as a CISO, and uh, one way I had a ground set there because just before I joined, they had a breach, and that's why I was hired. And to certain extent, they were prepared to spend money on it. But what helped is uh, one is we went and presented to the board that this is what our current security posture is. this is what is actually we are lacking. This is where we are getting breached. And then we put a roadmap. Specifically, we brought in various customer expectations. So we were responding to uh, tens of hundreds of RFPs over a period of a year or so. And every customer was asking, are you CSA star? Are you ISO 27001 certified? And what we did is we built a approach strategy roadmap where the improvement in security posture and the client expectations was aligning pretty well. Uh, so that is one thing which helped. Second is what we did is we started a monthly update to management on what is happening around in the world, specifically in that particular industry. Uh, Primarily from security perspective, what kind of threats are happening, who's getting breached, who got attacked, who could recover, who couldn't recover, how long individual companies took to recover, and so on. So one is that brought a lot of awareness uh, and realization that today it is X company, tomorrow it could be us again. And so I think that's the one thing which worked well. Second, I believe is worked well is we really did our homework and we presented multiple options to the board, demonstrating to them that actually we are not asking for money just for the sake of it. There is something where for similar kind of product, maybe we can spend $1 million, uh, which will give us X security, but we will maybe spend only $200,000. It will give us maybe 0.9x, little lesser, but that is sufficient. And when see ultimately board's objective is to deliver value to the stakeholders, and if they are convinced that we are actually utilizing that money well for the company, we are doing our due diligence and so on, it makes life easier and getting budget approvals becomes easier.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I really like the idea of creating a roadmap for it, because then you know what next you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would also like to get your advice on, especially for a new CISO to an organization, that how exactly they plan to do these kind of roles. Because I have seen that there are people who say that we are accidental CISOs. We were not meant to be CISOs, now we're CISOs, or there was a breach and we were asked to be a CISO. So, how exactly they should plan their journey in their first 30, 60, or 90 days?
Yeah, absolutely. And it aligns. I mean, that's the journey I went through this company. Again, a SaaS-based company, global offices, uh, huge customer base in Europe and US and so on. And they got breached, and that's how I came on board. So um, I think the first thing, okay, what I did there and which worked well. So we started first looking at uh, in terms of what is the environment. So there was no security guy at that time. Uh, the IT team was managing uh, whatever basic security in terms of antivirus and some of the systems and firewalls and so on. There were quite some things in place, but primarily IT team was managing. So what we looked at is first thing is we studied the environment. Along with that, we of course came up with the risks and so on. And along with that, we studied the the customer RFPs, what had been answered in last 100 days. Uh, because till I was new, so I hadn't answered anything. but we wanted to see what customer was asking. And everywhere, the business was responding, yes, we are this, we have that, and but actually a lot of things were not in place. So, uh, so that's the first thing. So based on that, we came up with this roadmap, and that is where the buying in starts. So what we did is we did an awareness session for entire leadership team. Why do you need to do certain things on cybersecurity side? How will it help them? Uh, how will it help them in acquiring business? Uh, we went on to create standard RFP responses based on the same thing, that what we have been receiving. If you implement this, this will be our response. This is how you will convince. So, so awareness was the key. Then what we did, we got each of these leaders, we requested them to assign one spot from their functions. So we got one person from each department who became virtually part of the information security team. And uh, overall, it was almost 20 departments. So totally, we ended up about 25 people. Virtual team, which actually then went on to drive various programs, various initiatives, making sure that within those departments the things are taken care of. And that made life easier in terms of the implementation. Uh, and interestingly, we started with the compliance. Okay? I mean, usually you would hear that compliance is not security. Uh,
Right.
but but actually we did other way around. What we believed is that if compliance is done in the right spirit, actually you will get security. So what we did is we picked up the frameworks. We picked up ISO 27000 as base. That was every customer was asking. We picked up CSA star at second uh, certification we wanted to do. So we picked up the CAIQ and CCM and so on. And we picked up SOC 2. And together, basically, we looked at if you have to comply to this is what is required. And because we went into the right spirit, it took us long to get these implemented. But by the time we could do that, actually, we were very, very secure. Uh, Interestingly, this company, because it has got breached earlier, so one time I know, but I hear that they also got breached few years earlier before that. Luckily for me, and some basic homework we did, we stabilized it well, and we had to never face that issue.
Yeah, that I think that's a very good strategy. And I so wanted to ask you about compliance, that how exactly these things are being handled, and you beautifully said it. I think that's amazing. Now, this brings me to a point wherein I do want to know how do you keep yourself updated about the current trends in the industry, or how do you implement those? Because your experience has been incredible, and the way you've used different things, even though you came back after 10 years and then you had to start from the scratch, whatever we say that, because you have to keep yourself,
Absolutely.
because technology changes, a lot of things changes, and industry changes. So how do you keep yourself updated?
Okay. Honestly, I'm not updated. Okay. I still struggle. But what I did is, as I said, one is of course continuous reading. Okay, and that has been a massive thing. No, from 2018 onwards. Uh, I used to drive a long distance for 3 4 years, and that during that time I would actually listen to various podcasts on security. So that gave me a lot of knowledge, a lot of understanding what how things are happening. And then I make it a point to attend various cybersecurity events, conferences, and that's again a platform. One is to listen to the speakers and so on, but also to interact with them and get to know from learn from all those leaders, all those peers, all those the youngsters probably give you a lot more than what you could even think of. And yeah, that's how I think you have to just be part of uh, you know one is of course listen to various these podcasts and webinars and so on, but also be active in communities. And I think that being part of communities has also helped me significantly uh, from where I started in 2018 and where I am today.
Yeah, I agree with you when you say that, oh, you're still struggling. But let me tell you that I have seen you at a lot of forums and you've inspired a lot of us because being there and showing up, I think, is very, very important. Whether it's a community event, whether it's a conference, whether it's connecting with people, I think you learn a lot in that journey.
Absolutely. Thanks very much. I mean, when you say inspire, I remember the day I messaged you on LinkedIn sometime in 2018, if I remember right. First time we connected. I don't know if you would recall, you were already very, very popular those days. I reached out to you to help one of my team member on application security. And without knowing me, and you happily agreed to support and help and guide that individual who's actually right now doing wonders in that domain. So thanks very much.
Thank you so much. I'm honored. I think we learn from each other, and that's the power of community, where we
Absolutely,
help each other grow.
absolutely.
Uh, I think we can go on with this webinar. We have a lot to talk, but in the end, I would definitely want to take some pieces of advice from you. That if, let's say, I want to be a CISO or a CEO one day, what are the things that I should keep in mind and not do or do when I'm moving towards that journey?
Okay, so one is we spoke about learning. So you have to learn. You conceptually at least you need to understand the full domain, and then you could be expert on one of those areas. Uh, when you want to be at CISO level, it's also important to understand GRC well because you are ultimately dealing with business, and GRC teaches you a lot more about business and how to deal with them and about presenting the risk and so on. But more than that, I think generally the leadership is important. In cybersecurity, we all of us struggle in getting the right people. And if you are part of communities, if you build good networks, if you can hire right people, your life will become easier. Uh, I think that would be one very, very important thing. Anyone who wants to be in any leadership position, especially in cybersecurity. I have been lucky, of course, to find the best of the people around me, and they stood by me in all times. And I think every leader should look at bringing those next generation you know uh, to learn cybersecurity, help them grow, and then they will take you to the places.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. If a person has the right attitude and if that person does know things, you can groom them. But if the attitude is not right, the person would not flourish for sure. We've seen in the past, so totally agree with you.
Absolutely,
Find the
yes.
right people. Yeah. Thank you so much, Kamalji, for sharing the wonderful insights. I'm really honored that you said yes to this podcast and you're here speaking with me and sharing all the wisdom that you've learned over the years.
Thanks very much indeed. I am honored as well. As I said, uh, I always look up that you are doing so much in cybersecurity, flying our flag high across the world. And thanks very much indeed uh, for whatever you are doing for the entire cybersecurity community. Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
so much. Thank you.